Hello and welcome to our 12th session wherein we are going to explore about building 2D games in Unity. We are going to create a top-down mini game similar to the 3D living room experience but in 2D. You will create a top-down 2D version of interactive living room scene you created earlier. Just like in the 3D scene, you will control a character and try to collect all the objects in a room. The skills that you will learn is level 2 2D art, employ the Sprite editor to slice sprite sheets, Unity editor essentials, navigate in 2D space in the scene view, then scene building essential, transforming game objects in 2D, employ basic physics for game objects in 2D, then application scripting, compose scripts that utilize various APIs. So far, everything that you have done has been in 3D. But this next session, you are actually focused on 2D development. 2D games made in Unity are some of the most popular, especially on mobile devices. Even though there is one dimension less than 3D, there's so much that you can do in 2D with Unity. To learn this, you will create a top-down 2D version of the interactive living room scene. Getting an understanding of how working in 2D can be similar to 3D, but also how it differs. First, you will set up the 2D scene with a player character and boundary wall, getting comfortable with 2D navigation in the scene view. Next, you will fill out the room with 2D furniture, sprites that the player can push around. Then you will scatter collectibles throughout the room for the player to find. You will even add a user interface that tracks the remaining number of collectibles, transforming your interactive scene into a more game-like experience. Understanding 2D game development is important for a well-rounded skill set in Unity. So let's take a step back from the third dimension and do some 2D game development. In this first session, we will set up the 2D player character in a basic room with boundary walls. Already in our previous session, we have explored how to migrate our project from 6.2 to 6.3 and how to launch this project by downloading it from the Patreon link. Now after the migration, the project is launched, and in our previous session we had completed this living room programming scene, and now in this session we are going to work on the next scene. For this, coming into assets, Unity profile contents, and in this coming into scenes, now we are going to come into this 5 top-down 2D scene. And if you double click to open this, this is going to open, and here in the hierarchy you can see as of now this scene consists of just 2 game objects. One is the main camera and another is the floor. So if I zoom out, if I right click, turn around and show it, this appears like a plane which is given a wood texture, but actually this is a sprite. So if you select floor and come into the inspector, this has been attached with a component called Sprite renderer, and it is attached with this floor sprite. It is saying that we do not have this 2D sprite package. How to install this? Just come into Windows. You have package management, package manager. In your project, you have all these packages installed. So you can see Cine Machine, which we installed in our previous session. Now I will come into Unity registry and I am going to type 2D. You have in the package one package called as 2D Sprite. Select this 2D Sprite package and click on the install button. Wait for this to get installed. Now the scripts are getting compiled, completely installed. Now I will close my package manager, and if I now come into my hierarchy and select the floor, you will have one option called as Open Sprite Editor. So if I click on Open Sprite Editor, I can now see that how my sprite is attached with this texture. So right now I will close this sprite editor and it is set to the position 0, 0, 0. And apart from this sprite editor, I have a main camera, and the main camera, if I right click, turn around, and if I press D, or if I just move out by pressing S, and if you see this, see the main camera here is orthographic camera. In 2D, we are going to use orthographic. So if you use perspective camera, how the camera as the distance increases, the view area is going to increase. However, in case of an orthographic camera, the view area remains the same irrespective of the distance. Then we have set the size here, it is set to 4.5, and you have the clipping planes. Leave all this as default. If you come into the game view to view it, it appears like this wooden floor is appearing from the top view. And since we are now building a 2D game, I will come back to scenes and I am going to enable the option here called as 2D. So when I click on 2D, you can now see you have only two axes to work. This gizmo itself disappears, and now if I select the floor and press F or double click it, well, if I take the selection tool, you have the x-axis and the y-axis, and the z-axis is missing. So we are going to work only with x and y, and we keep the z-axis at 0. One last thing in this 2D setup is, if you come into the game view, on the left side, you have this display here which is set to display 1, and you have free aspect. If you are building this game for a PC, I can come into the free aspect and select the aspect ratio. Aspect ratio means it is the ratio of your screen width to height. If you are working on a full HD screen, I can make use of this 1920 into 1080. Now if you are working on mobile, I can click here plus and I can label this as vertical mobile, and I am going to set its width to 1080 and height to 1920, and if I click OK, this aspect ratio changes for mobile. In this game development, I will set this back to free aspect. Now let us start building our game. So the very first object that I want to add here is the player. Come to the project window. I will come into Assets, Unity Profile Content, open Sprites. In this you have a folder called Character. You are provided with some 8 different types of character. One is you have this car, you have dumper, you have mouse, you have racing car, you have room cleaner, train and UFO. I am going to choose this Roomba underscore 2D. I am going to drag it into my hierarchy. Currently its position is set to 0, 0, 0. I want this to be on the left hand end of the screen, and the left to right axis is X. I will come into the scene view, and with the move tool selected, I will move it only along the X axis and place it to the left. Along X minus 7.63, Y and Z is set to 0. Now let us add some physical properties to our player. In Unity, physical properties or physics is added to any of the game object using rigid body. So in the hierarchy, I will select the player, come into the inspector, click on add component and type rigid, and you have rigid body. Since this is a 2D game, I am going to add rigid body 2D. And now if I leave all the values of rigid body 2D to default, if I now save this and if I execute the game, you can now see that my player just drops down. I will stop the playback. This is because by default, when you apply rigid body, the gravity scale default value is 1. I have to set this gravity scale value to 0, go to file and save it. And now if I execute the game, you can now see that the player is now standing constant even though physics is applied to it. Stop the playback. We have to move this player. So in our game, when the user press W or up arrow, it should move up. If the user press D or right arrow, it should move right. If he presses S or down arrow, it should move down, and A or left arrow, it should move left. Actually, in the new input system that is provided in Unity after the version 6, all these keys are pre-configured in Unity so that you need not write code for every key press. You can come into Edit, Project Settings, and here you have input system package wherein we are using this input system action, and above that you have input manager, and we have enabled use physical keys. And if you open access, axis components present here, and one of the component here is horizontal. So if I open this horizontal axis, horizontal movement, negative movement is represented by left or A, positive movement by right or D. And similarly, if I close horizontal and open vertical, when I move vertically, moving down, negative movement, we use S or down button, positive movement, up or W button. So these buttons we can configure it in the input manager. We are only going to use this axis in our code. I am going to close this project setting. The script for this player control 2D is already provided to you. In the project window, if you come into asset, Unity profile contents, and if you open the scripts folder, you have one provided scripts folder. If you double click to open it, you have this player control 2D script already provided to you. You select the player, then drag this player control 2D script into the inspector window here. Now come to file, save this, and if I now play the game, you can now see if I press D on the keyboard, it moves right, A moves left, S moves down, and W moves up. So these 4 movements are controlled using this keyboard. So I will stop the playback, and now if you are curious about what is in the script, you can select the script and double click to open the script in your Visual Studio Code. And if you scroll down, you are provided with around 78 lines of script, and this script makes your player move in different directions with key press. If you want to understand how this script is working, and also in the new version of Unity, you have 2 kinds of update. One is the regular update and another one is called as fixed update. Now what is this fixed update? What is this update? To understand this, I have provided you with a detailed documentation. If you open the Patreon link provided in the YouTube video description or in your e-learning page, and if you scroll down, you have been provided with 2 documents, 13B update versus fixed update.pdf. Click on this and this file will get downloaded, and there is another file, Unity Play Controller Script Explain. So if you click on this, this entire script gets downloaded, and now if you open this PDF, if I open this 13B update PDF, you can now see detailed explanation about what is the role of update and what is the role of fixed update. So you can thoroughly go through this document, and also if you open this 13C player explain, here step by step what every line of the code is going to do, you can go through it. These 2 documents are provided to you for your reference. Coming back to our game, we have now added our player, but when we play the game, if I start playing the game, if I press D and if I keep moving, my player keeps on moving to right or to left or to top. So now I doesn't want this player to go beyond my play area, and for this we are now going to add walls all the 4 sides. I will stop the playback, come into the hierarchy, I am going to right click, and if you come into the 2D object, you have one option sprites. If you doesn't see these sprites in 2D object, it means that you have not installed the 2D sprite package. You have to first install it, and if you have installed it, you will see in 2D object sprite, and you have one square here. A square sprite is created, and I am going to call this as wall underscore top. Initially I will reset all its value to 0, then I will move it to the top. To adjust the size, I will use this rect tool, and then I am going to drag it to the left. I will also drag it to the right. Along the y axis, I will scale it by 0.5. Along the x axis, I will scale it 17. It is going outside my play area, camera view. So I have to move this down and place it inside this white area which represents my camera view. Along the y axis, I will move it at around 4.2. If I go to file, save this and execute the game, you can now see if I press W and move it, the wall is there, but it is not getting blocked. Or to make this wall block my player, I have to apply collider. Stop the playback. Now I will select wall underscore top. I will come into add component and I will add a component called as box collider 2D. This component is added by default all around my wall top. I have to add the same collider component to my player also. Right now, the player doesn't have this collider. The shape of my player is round. Come into inspector, scroll down, add component, and this time I am going to add circle collider 2D. For wall top, if I switch off sprite renderer, you can now see the box collider. I will switch on the sprite renderer. Similarly, I will select the player, press F to zoom, and I will switch off sprite renderer, and this green line that you are seeing all around is the player circle collider 2D. I will enable sprite renderer. Now if I save this and now if I execute the game, if I now press W, see it goes and stops. So now I will stop the playback. I will come into my floor area, press F to see a complete view. I will select this wall top, press Ctrl D to duplicate, press F2 and I will rename this as wall bottom and I will move it to the bottom. I will select this wall top, I will press Ctrl D to duplicate, F2 and I am going to call this as wall underscore left. Along the Z axis, I will rotate it by 90 degrees. I will move it to the left so that I will place it along Y at 0 axis. I will move it to the side here on this box. Then I will select this rect tool. If required, I will zoom it and I am going to set this top area here. I will move down and I will adjust this rect tool and just make it sit on the bottom wall. And I am going to set the scale along Y to 0.5. If I double click floor area, I will then select this wall underscore left, press Ctrl D, press F2 and I am going to call this as wall underscore right. Going to press W to select the move tool and I will move it and place it on the right hand corner here. If I save this, and now if I execute the game, you can now see that my player moves only within this area. So we have successfully created the 4 walls. I will stop the playback. I will select the player and I will slightly move it forward so that it is at the edge of my wall underscore left. I will come here and select wall top. With shift pressed, I will select till wall bottom. Right click and choose create empty parent and I am going to call this in capital as wall. I will just double click on floor area, go to file and save. Now our next mission is to fill out the 2D room with furniture that the player can push around and then fill it with collectibles for the player to search for. At the end, you will even add a simple user interface that tracks the number of collectibles remaining, which will make it feel like a fun puzzle game. Coming into our project, in the Assets Unity Profile Content, if you come into Sprite, you have a folder called Furniture. Double click to open it. You have various furnitures available and I am going to use one by one here. So to begin with, I am going to select this sofa. I am going to drag this sofa and put it in my scene on somewhere on the top corner. I will just zoom it in and place it correctly here. -5 along the x-axis and around 3.1 along the y-axis. I will add small sofa chairs on the other side. You have one armchair. I will select this armchair and drag it. This armchair is facing downwards, so I will come to z-axis and rotate it by 135 degree. Press W to enable move tool, drag it and place it at a position here at x minus 6.1 and y minus 2.28 position. I will select this armchair, press F2 and I am going to call this as armchair 1. Select it, press Ctrl D to duplicate, press F2 and I am going to call this second one as armchair 2. Drag it on the other side and I am going to rotate it minus 135 degrees. I will keep the y value at minus 2.28 only, but change x value to minus 2.15. And I want to place a small table here. So here you have one Ottoman table. So I am going to drag it and place it in between these two sofas like this. I am going to add plants. So you have one plant here. I am going to drag this plant and place it next to the sofa here. I also have a lamp. I will drag this lamp and put it next to this sofa somewhere here at this point. I will also add a pair of shoes. You have two shoes here. I will drag this shoe left and I will place it at a point on the right side here. Then I will drag shoe right and I will place it next here. So to make both at the same level, along the y axis, I will set both to 3.3 value so that both are at the same level. I want to add a dining table. Table coffee dark. I will drag this and place it here. I will place the table at x 4.5 and y minus 1.5. Then in the furniture folder, you have two dining chairs here. Chair dining and chair dining blue. I drag this chair dining blue and I am going to add it at over here at 3.2 along x and 0.1 along y. I will come into my hierarchy, select it, press F2 and I am going to call this as chair dining blue 1. Press Ctrl D and press F2 and I am going to call this as chair dining blue 2 and I will drag it only along the x axis and place it at around 4.6. I will select this chair dining blue 2, press Ctrl D to duplicate, press F2 and rename this as chair dining blue 3 and selecting this chair dining blue 3 along the x axis I will move it to 5.9. Now I may have to select the middle chair and move it to 4.5 so that they are equally placed. Then I select all the three chairs here, press Ctrl D to duplicate, drag it down on the other side and along the z axis I will rotate it by 180 degree and I will place it along y at minus 3.13. I will come into my hierarchy, select chair and I will rename this as 4. I select the next duplicated one, press F2 and I will rename it as 5 and the next duplicated one I will right click, rename and rename it as 6. So we have got our dining table and chairs placed correctly. I am going to add some rug or carpet at the bottom. I will again come into Assets, Unity Profile Contents and in Sprites, you have a folder called Rugs. I will double click to open it and inside this there are two rugs. One is the green rug and another is the pink rug. I will select this plant and this large sofa and I will slightly move it down. Sofa is at 2.5 along the y-axis and plant is also at 2.5 along the y-axis. I am now going to select both and also move it slightly to the right so that sofa is at minus 4.4 along x and plant is minus 1.5 along x. I will select this rug 9 slice pink and I will drag it into the scene and put it here on this sofa area. Now this rug is coming above my furniture. When you drag any object into the layer, you will have one option here called as order in layer. Right now, rugs 9 slice pink has an order number 1. All this sofa, then armchair all have order in layer 0. Right now I select rug 9 slice pink and I will disable it in the inspector temporarily Then I will select this sofa. With shift pressed, I select the plant, lamp, armchair 2, armchair 1 and this ottoman table, and I will come in order in layer and I am going to change it to 1. I will select rug 9 slice. I will enable to see it, and in order in layer I will set it to 0. And now you can see that the rug has gone behind because I have set its order to 0, and for furnitures I have set it to 1. So if you want to move an object forward or backward, we can make use of this order in layer and we can set it. Now I will select this rug. I will select this rect tool and I am going to drag it and place it so that it fits exactly all around sofa area. If I select the player has gone back below the rug because its order in layer is 0. I will set this also to 1. So now you can see the player is on the top. I want to add one more rug here below the dining table. First I will select all the chairs here. 1 with shift press 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 chairs. With shift press I select the table, and for all I will set the order in layer to 1. Then I will select this 9 slice green and I am going to drag it and put it. You are seeing in the front because the order in layer is set to 1. I will make it 0. Then with middle mouse class I will slightly pan it, and with the rectangle tool selected I will just adjust this rug so that it sits exactly behind this dining table. Our room is ready. I have to rearrange all this in a proper way. So I am going to select sofa. With shift pressed I will select ottoman, this armchair 1, armchair 2, lamp and plant. I select all this, right click and choose create empty parent, and I am going to call this as living area and I will close this. I am going to select the table coffee desk. With shift pressed I select till this chair dining blue 6. I select all this, right click and I will create a new empty parent, and I am going to call this as dining area and I will close this. I will go into file and I am going to now save this. And now let us play this game and have a look at it. I will click on the play button. You can see as I press the D button to move it forward, as my vacuum cleaner or the player is moving but on the dining table it is moving on the top, but on the sofa it is moving down. So I want when it comes and hits any of this object, I want this to create a collision. I will stop the playback, go to file and save. So in our next session, we are going to add collision, we are going to add some collectibles and also the scoreboard, and we are going to complete this 2D game.